Earlier, Dan discussed with you and talked about the value of beef as it integrated from a carcass value into the box beef value. What we want to now do is look at the calf, go back in time and see if there can be any predictability of that value of that individual. One of the things that you'll notice in the sale arenas across the nation that cattle do vary in the price that they bring. A lot of that, of course, is based upon weight. Some of it's based upon condition, but there are some other determinations in there which we can effectively look at and value our cattle and kind of come up with an ultimate price. That price basically is a prediction towards the future, what Dan had talked about earlier. It's a prediction finally in the carcass farm whether or not that carcass is going to be yield grades 1 or 2 and hopefully not getting into 3s, 4s, and 5s. And in addition to that, we're also looking at the quality grade, whether it's going to be choice, maybe even prime, and maybe select. That's going to be acceptable, but certainly not below that line as well. So we want to look at these calves today and try to determine some of the things that we're able to see in them. We're going to look at a calf from the standpoint of his muscling. We're going to look at the calf from the standpoint of his frame size. We'll look at frame sizes in terms of small, medium, and large. We'll look at muscling scores to see whether or not they have adequate muscling. I'd like for you to be able to evaluate the condition on the calves to see if they're already fat and they're not going to be able to gain quite as well in the feedlot. Another indication, as I just discussed, is the performance of that animal, whether or not he's going to have a good average daily gain. One of the things that we've seen in our ranch to rail studies and in our strategic alliance studies is that cattle need to be healthy. Well, you're not going to be able to predict the total amount of health that we have in terms of being real healthy and gaining good in the feedlot as you look at an animal. Certainly you can pick out the 6 from the healthy type of animals. But what we really want to do is to make sure that they're healthy animals and they're able to have high performance. And that means have a high average daily gain and be able to convert feed very, very efficiently. So we're going to look at performance as one of the indicators, carcass value as the other. And some of the things that we talked about that we could see was looking at the individual calf, whether or not he's very mobile, whether or not he gets around good, looks attractive, has good hair conditioning, which is some indication of health. The other thing that we want to predict to some degree, and I'd like for you to be able to write that down, is whether or not he's going to have a good average daily gain. Well, health aside, the average daily gain should be promoted somewhat by good growthy cattle. Those of the larger frame size, moderate frame size, and we might not see as much growth potential in some of the very, very early maturing small frame size type cattle. Another indication of good average daily gain would be those cattle that have good muscling characteristics that we're eventually going to determine how much muscle they had in their loins. So we'll look at their tops and see how thick they are. We'll look at their round and how much thickness there is in the round in the top, middle, and lower portion. Another thing that we're quite concerned about is combining that muscling along with the frame size and then kind of evaluating conditioning. Obviously, if he's a thin kind of calf, he's going to be able to project out there and grow very, very rapidly and make compensatory gain because he hasn't been on good nutrition. On the other hand, if he's very, very fat, he may not be able to gain quite as quick because he's already gone through some fattening phases within his development.